Hey y'all, welcome to the start of a new series for the channel. For this series we'll be heading to Japan. Bustling cityscapes, sleepy mountain towns, bullet trains, and the shorter Chihosen. I plan to build it all to create as authentic of a Japanese region as possible. For this series I'll be playing on normal mode with the progression and money turned on. So we'll have plenty of challenges to face throughout the series. And the map I've chosen will allow us to have a bustling port city that should become a powerhouse in the larger area. As always, make sure you like and subscribe, comment on what you like, what you don't like, and with that, let's get into it. Starting off, I'm going to select the normal game mode for the progression and economy. I'll be choosing the Kanmon Strait map as it has a lot of natural resources, a decent amount of buildable area, and a lot of ocean that'll help us create a bustling port city and bolster a fishing industry. For now, I'll just rename the city to Kanmon Strait, almost as a placeholder until I can find a more official name for the series. I'll be keeping it in normal and left-hand traffic turned on, and let's begin. Did you like that little zoom in I did? I thought it was kind of funny. Looking at the natural resources, we have a lot of fertile land, a lot of ore, and a lot of fish. And so we'll be making use of the fish in the fertility for our starting area, with plenty of opportunities to expand all those industries out as the series progresses. Now I do have a concern with the amount of natural resources on the map. I'm just worried that tile upkeep is going to be extremely high, even if we don't really use those resources, so I might have to address that in the future. But for now, I think it's time to start planning our starter town. First thing I'm going to do is replace this starting road. It's a 6-lane larger road and I just didn't really like it, so I'll be using this custom made road that I've made that better resembles a Japanese street you'd actually see. Now from there, we have to decide where our streets are going to go. There are a few obvious places that roads just seem to want to go, this way being one, and then up through these mountains is another one. So we'll build out some roads to plan for that in the future. And I want to avoid overly using a grid pattern, so starting off, it'll be a little sweeping road up to that mountain there, and then we'll have this road cutting across like that to make a nice intersection that way. This part right here up against the water is probably going to be where our starting town is. Looking at the wind direction, we can see this is a good spot for our industry to sit. So I'm going to build a small road following the water line so that we just have an idea of how much industry we can place in the area. I don't want to go too overboard with the industries. I'm planning to move to offices as soon as possible, but we need some fishing industry and we need some smaller industries for some jobs here. I'll just tidy up the surfaces here to make room for some industry. And with that out of the way, I think it's time to start our fishing industry. Fishing seems to be an obvious choice for a starting industry here as we're, right up to the water. I'll place the fishing industry in the corner here. Okay, after a bit of finagling, I was able to get it in there without anarchy, which is actually really nice, as I will try to avoid using anarchy. I'm sure that will probably fall through at some point in this series, as it usually does. But I'll put some front-facing roads for it, and it looks like I'm going to need to connect up some services. But before I do that, let me just plan out how to get the dock set up. And for now, since we have not that much space, I'm going to choose the fish farming zone as opposed to the normal fishing zone. And I'll put it as close to the edge as possible. And then I'll just build out a little bit of an area here. And this is not going to be a very fun place for people to go swimming or anything like that. But, they need the fish. Alright, and with that route set up, let's actually get the line going. I'm just going to be using this one side of the dock for now, as we can't really reach the other side. But there we go, our first industry. I'll just fix some of the surfaces here to make it look a little bit more cohesive. With the fishing industry done, it's time to start building out the rest of the roads. I don't really have a rhyme or reason for how I'm placing this road layout. All I know is I want it to be somewhat compact and give off a more organic feel than a grid. It'll have some grid elements in it, obviously. That's just going to be the best way to actually fit as many buildings in here as possible, but there's going to be a few quirks in there. One quick look at Google Maps shows that a lot of these roads are extremely narrow, so I'll be using the one-way paths and alleyways to achieve that look there, and I think it really does add a lot to the atmosphere that you're building here. And while I'm building at the starting zone, I also want to plan for future developments, so I'll have this road branch out that way. Now I think this is a decent sized grid with a little bit of quirks in there that should give us a pretty organic looking starter town. I'll go back through and divide up some of these pretty larger plots, make them a little bit more narrow. Alright, and with the starting town layout done, it's time to move on to another resource that we had a lot of. If you remember, this entire area is absolutely full of fertile land, so I think it would be a wise decision to also start that industry up too. Again, I'll be laying out some roads with the future in mind here, where I'll probably have a smaller town in the mountains just above here. I'll then start placing an outline for some of the farms that will supply the city. Okay, and now with the farmland plotted out, we are in a pretty good spot here to start adding in these services our city needs. The easiest service to set up right now would be power. All I have to do is put down this transformer and then connect it up to the power lines, and then we're done. Let's see, easy as that. The next service we'll want to add is water. Either I can pump it in from the ocean or place a groundwater pumping station in here to just pump directly from the ground. Now looking at the groundwater on this tile, I think it would just be better to use the groundwater pumping station. So I'll just place that right here. Not exactly in the farms, but close by, a little bit out of the way of any urban developments we might need in the future. And with that, the water's connected. Sewage is different. I don't like any of these solutions you have at the start of the game. They are not permanent solutions, so I'm just gonna throw this sewage outlet right next to the fish farm, and we'll just go from there. Always wash your fish before you eat them, that's what I always say. But now that that's done, it's time to start thinking a little bit more about the future. Japan is very well known for its rail system, so I want to have rails already into the build before we start placing any buildings down, so that we're not trying to, figure out how to work the rails around the buildings. It should be the opposite. You build the rails, and then you build the buildings around the rails. So right now, I think I'm just going to plan something out. It's not going to be permanent, but just to have an idea and a reminder that, hey, don't forget about the rails. I'll build out this rail bridge here. I like the idea of having it like that, but then when it comes down to the slope here, you can see there's not going to be much room to fit a train station in here, so I'll leave this for now, but this might need to be addressed in the future. At the other end here, I want this to go up towards the mountain. This will be a short Chiosen line that'll connect this side of the island to the other side of the island and, have some stops through the mountains for other villages. But with the rails planned, I can now turn my attention back to the starting town where I'll add just a few more alleys and roads to really flesh out the city, and then I'll get started on building. Now for the architecture of the city, obviously I will be using the Japan pack heavily. I've also included a few mods that are basically modified versions of the already existing assets, just to give it a little bit more narrow footprint. You can see here, it cuts some of these assets down to 2 in width or depth, and even some of them can go down to 1. So I'll be adding a lot of those in to really make sure the city's as compact as I want it to be. And I'll be uploading the playlist I've created for this, along with the video and the save file. I'll also be adding in custom assets such as the Sugi drugstore. I think that looks really nice, and the Family Mart here, and any others that pop up on the PDX mods page as the series progresses. And it looks like I leveled up there. For whatever reason, the notification does not pop up anymore, even if I enable it to pop up. So I don't know what's going on there. But, starting, I'll do the road services. It's very easy one to choose first. And then I'll continue to plop out some of these buildings. Alright, and with the town being built now, I need to add in some clinics and death care to make sure that all the people moving in, are as healthy as they can be, or, if they pass, there's something to do with them. So I'll be using this asset here. I think it looks very nice. Just place it here on the main roads for quick access in and out of the city. And then I'll be using this rural crematorium. It's a smaller footprint too, which I like, and I'll put this somewhere a little hidden away necessarily. It's not going to be a fancy burial ground or anything like that. Before I continue building the rest of the town, I want to set up the food industries, some agriculture, and I think I figured out a way to make it as authentic as possible. Using the modular zoning blocks, I can add in a vegetable farm here with basically no assets at all, so I can get rid of the vanilla farm. As nice as it looks, it just does not fit the area in my opinion. So I can do this, and it gets rid of the surfaces, which is also nice because then I can go back in and place them myself, and in the end I think it turns out pretty good. I think it could use a little bit of work, but I think for what I'm trying to achieve right now, it's pretty good. pausing our building again, I want to take a look at our economy and our budgets. I want to adjust the taxes to have a bit of a progressive tax system, with the uneducated having, to pay less taxes, the highly educated paying more. That's about as good as we can get for any kind of income tax in the game. Looking at the services, I want to drop everything down, as we don't really need all the capacity that they're offering us. And hopefully that'll save us a little bit more money, or at least stop the amount of money that's being drained. All right, and with a good amount of residential done, I think it's time to start adding in a few more jobs for the people moving in. Like I said, this industrial park right here is not going to be the biggest. I'm planning on moving everybody to offices as soon as possible, but we still need some industry in the area, and we still need the jobs. So I'll put down a few industrial zones here. All right, and I've been building for a while, so I want to check how our economy's doing. It looks like we're still losing some money here, about 800 some dollars an hour, which is not great, but it's not terrible. I also want to check the production of our fishing and our vegetable farms, and it looks like we're running surpluses, which is pretty good. I imagine, we'll continue to build more of those as the city builds itself up, but we're doing okay. And to make sure we don't run into any vegetable deficits for our supply, I will add a few more for these farms around the area and detail them up later. I turn the setting on and now it pops up, although it doesn't seem to do it when I restart the game, so I still don't know what to do with that. But now we can actually get some medium density apartments going on in the building as well as education, so I'll be sure to add all of those to our city. And using the static ploppables, I'll just place a few of these Japanese houses to hide these modular blocks there to just make it look like farmhouses. All right, and you take a look at Google Maps and you will see a lot of rice paddies. And I think I've found a pretty good surface to use to recreate that. I'm using some of these grass row blocks, and I think that's about as good as we can get right now. It feels like they need just a little bit more than just the surface, so I'll be playing around with it as the series goes on to see if I can get the best looking surfaces possible until we can get some actual rice paddies into the game, like in Cities 1. And here's the final product. I think it looks better than the vanilla farms, but I think I could still do better than this. Now it's time to add education. As much as I would like to add the Japanese high school and elementary school, they are just gigantic. So I'm going to be using some of these smaller schools that I picked up from PDX Mods, and then I'll just decorate them up a little bit to make it look a little bit more like the, stereotypical Japanese school. But first I want to slam that budget down because that is going to kill us in the future. It's the biggest expense the city has. But once we have some actual education buildings down, I think it's time to start placing some of these apartments throughout the city. Now, I love the Japanese apartment assets. They just look awesome. But I don't want to completely fill up the area. I want to add them in just like a little sprinkle throughout the city for now. We will continue to zone things up in the future. I'm also going to add in parking lots to make sure there's enough parking throughout the city. And some of these spaces that I'm leaving are going to be intentional because I really want some mixed use buildings in these spaces, like right next to this apartment here. But we don't have any mixed use buildings yet, so I'll just wait on that. To speed up the leveling process a little bit, and because we need gas stations, I'll add the UK gas station here. I don't think it fits perfectly, but I think it fits good enough that I'm okay with adding it. And slowly but surely we can see the density pop in. Look how compact those buildings are. I really like how it's starting to feel. It needs a lot of detailing, so we'll be doing that here soon. But I think it's starting to come together. I'm liking how the farm fields are looking. I need to add some more surfaces and some more farms over there too, but we'll get to that later. because right now I want to add in a walking and bike path just along the beach there. I think that would be nice for the citizens here to have a nice stroll along the sand, not necessarily in the sand though. I imagine it'll be a pretty heavily trafficked corridor for the citizens of the town. They can walk or bike their way all the way to the industrial zone here. Just a nice path. They don't have to worry about cars or anything. Revisiting our industrial area, I unlocked the energy drink bottling plant, and I would love to put it over here, but I don't want to delete the industrial buildings we already have, and I don't really want to move these roads, so we'll have to wait. But what I can do is add some warehousing for the fishing industry so we can make sure we, have enough capacity for all the fish we're catching. And I think what better place to put it than in this little triangle space I've given myself. I'll add a few commercial buildings along the arterial here, but I want to be careful with my placement because I plan on this arterial cutting through the mountain to the other side of the island. Continuing expansion of the city, I'm going to build some neighborhoods on this road right here. I think it'll be a nice little quiet place for a family to live along the waterside. After building the few neighborhoods, I will bring the road into like a S shape here. I think that'll be pretty cool to detail up later on. And I'll just continue it down the side of the beach here. But taking a step back, the city is forming nicely. We're still losing money, but not a whole lot of money. I think it'll turn around as we continue building. But it's missing a lot of detail. There's a lot of grass patches that I want to get rid of. So I think I'm going to spend some time detailing up the city, and I'll catch you guys afterwards. Alright, and that completes our build for today. There's still a lot of work to do on this city, but we will work on that the next episode. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch today. I really appreciate it. Consider leaving a like and subscribing if you like what you saw today. Also, leave a comment on what you like, what you don't like. Also, if anybody is actually from Japan or has spent time in Japan, let me know how those road markings work. I'm very curious to see how I can improve on those, or what I did wrong, what I did right. But with that, thank you all, and I hope you all have a good one.